Good morning, everybody. Pedro and I will be with you shortly. Audio check, audio check, audio check. Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Told me that you're gassed up, I'll pass you a flask full of Jack Love. At last, I'm at peace with this vast blood. Only took a crash, landing down in the trash mud to figure out why I've been so smashed up. Holy moly, lonely only when I'm coldly zoning, cozy in my holy home without my homie ceremonies, owning in my own, rolling through my dome, hoping that I'm only throwing stones to get you going. Maybe you.
Good morning. You're listening to the intro of All Gassed Up by Tree City West.
You're staking what I'm making, break it. Maybe lay it on a plate, maybe shoot it out in space to watch it die. Either way, I ain't trying to lie.
Not gonna happen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great award-winning show called DYOR Live. It is August 7th, 2025. As always, it's been an interesting week here in Bitcoin and digital assets world, and it's getting less than normal again today as Donald Trump signs another interesting piece of legislation or executive order, or I don't know what it was, but allowing crypto 401k plans and retirement plans to invest in crypto under limited conditions. I don't know what it is, but Pedro and I will talk about that later. As always, this is the time when I introduce my co-host, Mr. Pedro Garcia, in the house. Pedro, what's happening today? Good. Good, man. How is your evening? Anything strange happen, or is it a normal night for Mr. Garcia? Well, yesterday he got his hair cut, so it was big news yesterday. I'm just seeing if there's anything else going on today. First world problems, yes. Kumgar, blow this show up, everybody. Everyone's letting it. Oh. There, wanted that thing. Look at that! Look at this new donation cam here, or whatever we got message thing here. That's awfully nice. Anyway, thanks. Sorry about that. Well, Pedro, you get to explain your car troubles again. I forgot to turn your mic on. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks Chuck, for your donations.
Always thank you.
As I always say, thank you very much. Everything that people donate to our show goes to help bring this show to boost it up and get its get more eyeballs on it, that kind of stuff. I wasn't ready for a donation so early there, Pedro. Thank you very much, Chuck. Really appreciate it. Showing that Rumble algorithm with a Rumble rant what is going on here, and that something important is going on here. As I like to say, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Also shouting out to for Kumgar and for the other Fire Chicken community. You guys are still staying strong, man. It's actually really impressive to see you guys still climbing. So shout out to the Fire Chicken community over there. You guys posted again. Thank you for posting. I saw that. I've been paying attention to you guys. So it's actually been pretty cool just to watch you guys.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
And Carmen Crypto in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Carmen Crypto will be coming to us in the second half of the show today. Look for her just after 1 p.m. Eastern time today. Carmen is going to come on and catch up what she's been up to in the world of crypto, in the world of digital assets, in the world of her employer, and all those other projects that she consults with. But more along the lines, we're interested in just catching up with Carmen and shooting the breeze as the three amigos get back together here for a good day of DYOR Live. So talk to you later. Carmen Crypto.
Absolutely. Shout out to Carmen Crypto. Looking forward to talking with her. Really interesting to see just kind of like what's happening in the world right now, especially with the big push with everything with Bitcoin. I think what's interesting more than I don't know if like this is Bizarro land or like real land and it's just kind of merging, but this idea that
this whole thing's Bizarro land, my friend.
What's up?
So this whole crypto thing is Bizarro land.
Yeah, well, just the idea that like unicorn fart dust can blow into like $100 million micro cap. It's
100 million,
and people became millionaires off of it, right? Like if you would have told me 5 years ago, or when was COVID? 6 years ago. If you would have said to me 6 years ago, President Trump's going to get reelected, and when he does it, crypto's going to get huge. But also, like, you had this thing called wokeism that, transgender craziness is going to happen. They're going to try to mutilate little children. Adults, hey, you do your own thing. I don't, whatever. But, like, when you start messing
with that's the wrong topic to bring up at the beginning of the show, Pedro.
What I'm saying is
that's an algorithm killer.
But what I'm saying is that this idea behind crypto really just taking off, like it becoming truly mainstream, where it's going to go into your 401k, is a crazy situation. Absolutely crazy.
A lot of money locked up in 401ks. I mean, a lot of money.
Like, it's going to probably be maybe at the beginning, maybe 2%, 1%, 2%. But as it grows, I mean, just when you look at the idea of stocks, we're starting to see a hybrid crypto stock situation happening right now, especially with what, Robinhood is doing with tokenizing stocks. And it's really not like a token per se, as we would say in crypto, right? Because a token is a main chain governance token, right? But it's enough to where you can sit there and kind of be amazed at that. They're trying, right? Like, you're starting to see this hybridization. No, that's not a word. Just this push of trying to truly bring things on chain and really get things going. It's been really interesting just watching it actually happen in the midst, in the trenches, watching coins move, watching micro tokens move, and it's kind of epic. I mean, it really is kind of epic. I love
All right, Pedro, I've got a challenge for you, Pedro.
Okay, what's your challenge?
I've got a challenge for you. These, most of the world today is designed to be safe, to be easy, to give you a cheap dopamine hit without any real effort or risk. This is right up your alley. But where's the challenge in that? Where's the real reward? If you're looking for an arena with real stakes, you need to know about Entropia Universe. Or Entropia? They need to phonetically pronounce those for us. This is just another game. This isn't just another game. It's a massive multiplayer online universe with a real cash economy. That means every single item, from the ammo you use to the armor you craft, has a tangible value tied directly to the US dollar. This is the digital frontier. It's a true free market where you can hunt creatures, mine for resources, and manufacture goods. Then sell them to other players for cash that you can withdraw right to your bank account. How about that? It's a grind, it's high risk, but the rewards are real. We're talking about players hitting jackpots worth thousands of dollars from a single loot drop. This isn't for the faint of heart, though. No, it's not. This is for the hustlers, the entrepreneurs, the people willing to bet on themselves and build a digital enterprise. If you think you have what it takes to compete in an economy with real consequences, prove it. Go to joinentropia.com and start your journey. That's www.joinentropia.com. You guys gotta let us know how to pronounce that. Anyway, it's a challenge. They want us to challenge you as a viewer to go there and be an entrepreneur. If you're a gamer, if you're not a gamer, learn. But if you're a gamer, go there and take their challenge and see if you can participate in their real cash economy, where every bullet and every piece of armor costs money. That's really interesting. Real world consequences. I guess if your ship gets blown up, you lose everything. Very interesting. Those types of things, very interesting, and especially if you can sell stuff in the game and withdraw it to cash, very interesting. Anyway, www.joinentropia.com. As usual, is a QR code right here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a gamer and watching this show, click that. Show our segment sponsors that our audience is interactive and wants to learn all about this new game. Anyway, thanks to Entropia.com for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live.
Absolutely.
That was a good one, Pedro. That one was 27 cents right off the bat.
Nice. There we go. Love it. Well, let's jump right into Bitcoin. Enough with the smart chit chat. Let's talk about this movement up. All right. So like I said, over the weekend into Monday, I said this typically is a little harder because we don't know if it's going to go down. And so I thought, I said I expected kind of to come back down into these lower levels, but we did not. And with Trump's statement, obviously, I think maybe some things were leaked. This idea of it's moving up. Yesterday, we had good volume come in. I said our biggest thing is we want to see volume above the average, and that's exactly what we saw. I mean, we really did. And then more importantly with that, we also saw the closure above the 8-period moving average with that. And so this is a great zone, bouncing off the 50-period moving average on Bitcoin, and they're pushing up. So it's looking strong. It's looking like it's going to bust through that 20-period moving average there. And so I'm sitting there going like, this is a no-brainer. Like this is all-time high material here that we're going to see this thing continue up. So that means that we have put in the demand wicks for the month, especially with the news that, we're going to be allowing crypto to be coming to 401ks, which means that an infinite money system, an infinite fiat money system is going to go into a finite hole. And this infinite system is going to try to shove itself down into a fixed hole and get pushed and it's going to get crazy. So with that said, get ready for a ride of your freaking life. Because
now, on that 401k thing, it will take, all 401k plans and all that have risk managers as part of it, and they don't just let you change things up quickly. A lot of 401k plans are set up where you can just trade in them, like a Charles Schwab 401k. But all of the, they said, all right, the whole stock market is up for grabs. But if you want to trade options in your 401k plan, a lot of firms don't allow that. Some firms do, but you have to go through a checkbox to know you're assuming the risk, or have so great limitations on it just to ensure that you don't lose your retirement money. And so the question remains is how quickly will those risk managers or process controls get changed to allow crypto to actually be bought in the thing. I can totally see my mom buying Ethereum in her on her account on her phone. She trades in her IRA, and I can totally see it happening.
I'd say within 3 to 6 months. The reason why is because one thing about the finance bros, when it comes down to it, they move a lot quicker than the legislation within Washington. I mean, as the Frank Dodd bill that came out in 2008, within 6 months, they had created completely new products to circumvent the old fiascos that happened during because of the leading up to the 2008, and they created new products that basically mimic the old ones, but just a little bit different. So they were able to get around the red tape. So this is something that, if there's money to be made in it, you best believe. I mean, we're talking within 3 to 6 months after. This is why we saw like the VW or the V shape rebound. So, and obviously the Fed stepping in and buying, being the lender of last resort. But on that back end though, I don't see it. And that's when literally we're going to be right into the heart of the bull run. Come October, November, August, September, October, November is when we see just let's
Pumptober,
right? And so this is where I'm just really expecting this just to get stupid. And we're all positioned, even if you're positioned like, let's say you got just, like a couple thousand, it doesn't even matter, because this bull run is going to be stupid. And then how long will it go? I don't know. Will we see a pullback? Most definitely. We are definitely going to see a pullback. And it's just, yeah. It's going to get...
All right, Pedro, on Bitcoin here, I'm in a little bit of a long here right now, a short-term long here that I would like to see play out all day. Yesterday, we spoke about how I got into a nice trade when I thought it was appropriate to go long, and then I panic sold, not at a loss, but after I made a little bit of money, it started coming down just one candle, and I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna dump, I'm not gonna blah blah blah. So I sold it. Then 2 candles later, it rocketed up, and I would have had a 100 million% gain. And I was talking about working the emotion out of this and letting my plan come to fruition. So before the show happened, I said, let's do this again. Let's talk about this again. So the conditions were, I thought, were fine for a little bit of long, not a high risk one, but not a big trade by any means, but just a small one, just to say, all right, we pumped, we're consolidating a little bit, the moving averages look okay. Let's see if we can. And on Bookmap, there's a huge liquidity pool at the 117.5. So let's see if Tom can hold on to this and let it get up there. And see, this looks like a nice little flag here, a little up and down through the averages. If you're a flag caller and that type of stuff, but really I would like to learn, get a hold of my emotions, Pedro, and ride this one out to the terminus of the trade. Now the question is, was striking correct in getting in the trade, or should it have been like, let's pull back a little bit more? I mean, I'm up like $20 right now, and so it's already a profitable trade. But this is where yesterday it would have started going down. I would have been like,
Well, they're really, like, one of the biggest things I always say is find where it's trending, right? So we know that the trend, and you can see how we consolidated, and it looks like it wants to trend on either the hour or 2 hour. You can see where they're trying to find the support. Where is the support coming in on? And so what I'm always looking for is what time frame is trending. And then when I start to see it trending, I look at the volume in which way it's trending. So you can see we're moving up. We saw the volume come in right in here. You can see how it all came in right here. And then
I think you sat on your mute button, Pedro. Oh, nope, your connection died. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. Pedro doesn't know his connection died. Hold on. Hopefully it'll come back here in just a minute. Occasionally, Pedro has a little bit of... unfortunately, he He monitors the broadcast stream on a monitor over here, so it's not in his eyesight. Pedro, you can't hear me. Pedro. Pedro, Earth to Pedro. Can't hear me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, while Pedro's reestablishing his connection, what I was referring to a little bit ago, is the emotional part of trading here. The emotional part of trading is very difficult to work out of your system here. It's hard. It's something you really, really need to put your brain through, especially if you don't have, a giant account in which you're like, all right, if I just make a simple mistake, or you can take time to work stuff out and you don't mind losing half your money. I'm not like that. I have a small account that I'm trying to grow on stream for all of you guys. Hold on, let me text Pedro here in the background here. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring my screen up here. Hold on, everybody, while Pedro comes back here. But anyway, what I was talking about is working the emotional aspects out of your trading habits and move back towards working on a plan. And many of us that watch this show spent many years in the degen world of meme coins and things like that, and the shit coins of the world, and that brings a whole new mentality. You've heard me say this before. It brings a new mentality to this whole thing about trading, because it has different rules. In meme coins, what's the biggest thing that you do? You worry about people that cheat, right? And in Bitcoin, you don't worry about people cheating. You just worry about where the liquidity is, because you know where the pricing is. It's going to go then. It's a very different mentality. Pedro, I'm trying to text you, Pedro. He's having trouble reconnecting. His computer must be having a fit-ski today. Anyway, so yesterday, let me see if I can find my trade from yesterday here. That was this morning. Big pump ski this morning. I did not participate in it. This was my trade yesterday. I got in right here at the low here at about 10:30 as I was setting up for the show. It pumped up right here. It was looking nice, looking pretty good. And then this little white right here, this little white spot here with a red outline, that was this little candle. Let me see if I can make that bigger. This little candle with a shorter wick on the demand side, a longer one on the supply side, made me think panic sets in. And we need to dump this. Now you can't see it on my chart because it's the way the colors are, but the 8-period moving average is running right under these wicks, supporting the whole move up, and I didn't trust it. Pedro tells me to trust it all the time. And not only that, the 200-period moving average is going up here also, and I sold it out, and I sold it and I closed it. I'm like, all right, well I put $35 in the wall here, but look what happened 2 candles later. Whoop! It went down to as low as 114, 166, and mooned all the way up in basically one move to 115.3, over 1,000 points in that one trade. This Pedro's rebooting or something here. We'll let him do this thing. I don't know if Pedro can hear me or not. Oh, he can, I can see him nodding. He can turn down his phone audio to hear me. Anyway, we'll wait for his screen to come back on. He looks real happy right now. But anyway, that was what was called. And to top it off, my plan was to my take profit was up here in the right around 115 something. It was going to be a nice. I don't remember if it was 1-3 or 1-4 win. Probably 1-3. And I lost out on a couple $100 on that because of the emotion. Fast forward to today. This is this morning's pump. I don't know what happened at 5 o'clock or 6 a.m. To make it pump, but it did. And so anyway, we're out here on this flag now. And I got in the trade. We'll call it right here. I'm at a small profit right now. Because by all indications, this looks like a similar situation. The moving averages are doing the same thing. Let's see, this is the 5-minute chart. Of course, as I say it, it's dumping now into a loss. The 8-period moving average is moving right under these things here. Here's the 200-period moving average. It's just breaking that. That's not on the 5-minute chart. Not a good thing at all. But we're looking for the trade to come all the way up to about 117.5 right here. At this line. Here, because Bookmap tells us that there's a big pile of liquidity there. So we shall see if that's true or not. And right now, normally I'd be panic selling with this one small flag here, or candle here. I'd be like, I have to get out, must get out, preserve the capital, which is a true thing. I do have a stop order in a little bit below this, so if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. But can I hold it? And can we see it? Wiggle, wiggle, and then boom. That's the plan. All right, Pedro seems to be working on his computer there. Welcome, Walter. Installing a furnace right now, but listening to us in the background. Thanks a lot. Latest project, Wallin, Mindful Meta. Says it's lunchtime. They're gonna make money on break to show off. I hope so. I would love to buy. Not really a braggart in this type of stuff because I'm always in the smaller end of the trading spectrum. But as they say, it's all good. If you just to do one live. I mean, Sam Price does this every day. Crypto Lifer does a live trade every day, and he does very well doing it. But can old Striking do the same thing? Oh, it's strange without having Pedro here. Let's see if he sent me a message here. All right. Oh, where did Pedro go? Computer crashed and his screen froze. I don't know where he's going. But I hope he comes back soon before we lose all of our viewers. Let's see if we got an ad for us here. Now I need a couple more viewers here to run the next ad, which likely will be 1775 coffee. There he comes. Pedro, your mic is All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Pedro Garcia back in the house here. His computer said it was time for the blue screen of death or something like that. But Pedro, welcome back. I was just in the meantime. Oh, wow, did that just dump? Oh, well. That trade is over.
So what I was saying, what I was bringing up was this, is that you can see, I was saying, can you see my screen?
Yep.
So this trade wasn't over. So what I was saying is, I was trying to let you know, like, you probably should get out because we're trending on the hour and the 2 hour, right? You can see here, we're definitely, they're putting in the demand wicks on the 2 hour. 1 hour, you can see it came down, it hit it, popped up. And so I was more or less saying that if you were going to get in, you'd want to wait for a pullback down into these lower levels here and see what's going to happen. Because again, my biggest thing was that we had this big green candle here, that what I was talking about, I circled this prior, and I said, and we had very small amount of volume. And then you had this green or this red candle and this green candle. You can see that this red candle had big volume. You saw here that the green candle had small volume, even though it was pushing up. We closed above the other candles, which showed a huge bullish sign, but we had small amount of volume coming in. So that's basically them just a little, basically they're suckering you. And so you could see, or obviously my PC dropped, but I was saying how I'm expecting it to typically come down to here or right at this level here and see what happens. That level is typically where that 2 hour candle is sitting. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. So that's definitely where I was looking to see if we were going to come down to. I'm paying attention to this. So this is where, like, we got to wait and see. This is one of those ones that if you were looking at the hour chart, you would have sat there and said, all right, the hour chart is communicating that we are going through and we're showing weakness with the volume, even though we were consolidating here. So I would expect it to come back down. Look for buyers at a liquidity area, and then to wait for it to push back up and then follow a trend. We didn't have a trend on really any of the smaller time frames. You can see like the 5 minute, we had the trend on here, but here we started breaking it. You saw we started breaking, and I didn't really see any real supply wicks. I'm not seeing any supply wicks. Maybe one demand wick. I'm not really seeing anything here. There's maybe one right here, but nothing really, right? Like we can sit there and say, like down in this level, you can see that I definitely want to push it up. But once I stopped seeing any real conviction, like it's just, I would have been out. Once we broke this level here, I'm out. And then I just want to wait and see. So I'm looking for a liquidity area. This area right here that I just pointed out is a liquidity area. There's going to be a lot of stops below here. So if I see this come down and create a pretty good wick, then that's really where you would want to play to go long. But you can see here, like your 15 minute, we broke your 15. 15 is showing a little bit more bullishness, but not really, because you can see we're pushing down below. We'll see right here what actually happens here, but this is where we should see some buyers stepping in, coming in, and we'll find out. I want to see again it get above the 8 period moving average. That's my biggest thing, is I'm going to see it get above this if we're going to continue up, or potentially wait for a pullback into this area here as we cross that 8 and 20. Yeah, your hour showing weakness. 2 hour. Is there any news that's actually happening that we just don't know about? What time is it? It's Thursday. Yeah, we had. Sorry, I thought that was today. Oh, we're coming up to the 30-year bond. We had initial jobless claims that came out at 8:30. Yeah, they were negative. We knew that. $30-year auction bond. U.S. President Trump speaks at 1 o'clock. What time is it now? He's about ready to speak right now. Okay. Fed balance sheet. Yeah, nothing there. Give me 1 second. Actually, not there. News. Trump broad tariff goes into effect. Okay, we knew that. Fed. Give me the last minute. Politics. Why? Not any time passed. Hour, 29 minutes. Trump. Trump executive order changing 401ks. What to know? Contributions undermine economic data. Realize Trump's new tariffs rates on chips, India farm. No, so there's nothing really showing me here. Let me pull up my data here.
My mic was off there. Already a big reversal here.
Okay, boom, boom, boom. I'm looking through all my news data sources in case President Trump to sign executive order today targeting banking discrimination against crypto, religion, and politics. Oh, preach. Man, I hope that actually happens. Boom, watch a guru. 82% of S&P 500 companies beat quarterly earnings estimate despite President Trump's tariffs. Just in, Bank of England cuts interest rates by 25 basis points to 4%. This was when? 410.
I don't know. I just don't see any news other than anticipation of Trump speaking. Probably the news flash that he was going to speak, and then everyone jumps.
So what it looks like is they're coming down for it to push back up. This is what it seems like it is happening. We're not putting any supply wicks. We closed above we see this candle right here. We closed. Let me make sure that's the correct candle because tomfoolery happens.
Space.
11.
Frontier.
Boom. So this was the 10.
Welcome, Space Cat, to the show. Good day, everyone. Thought I might listen to you guys a little bit before I go and cut the grass. You can always listen to us while you cut the grass too. If you've got a good set of headphones. Well, you're right, Pedro. This is it's a liquidity sweep for one reason or another. One reason is an intentional liquidity sweep where market makers say, all right, it's time to clean out the stops before we execute our plans to go in the other direction. And or otherwise, it's just a news-driven event which everyone piled on and then set the situation up where the stops got cleaned out, and we'll see what happens after that. It looks like there's already a reversal in process going on here, which I did not participate in. But you know what? It bounced off. You know where it went down? Dropped right down to? It dropped right down to the monthly open. It bounced off the August open here. That's interesting. How about that? Where's my chart?
Are you sure? I
think so.
I have the monthly open for Bitcoin at 15. Yeah, 15. I'm sorry. Yeah, we came down pushing up. This is just simply, they're just pulling liquidity here. That's all they're doing. This isn't anything major. Yeah, they're just taking your money. You can see it right here. Boom. Stopped everybody else out. And then they're pushing it up. That's what they do.
Walter says, one thing I was trying to point out, though, is if you watch Wall Street in like lunch break time, you're always seems to be some kind of a spike movement for a short. First, like what everybody gets off of work so they can say to their friends, look what I just made, and show off and have something to talk about over lunch. It also, if you watch the Singapore time frame at about 2 a.m. our time, happens as well. Not something to base everything on, but something to look at. Well, I agree with that. There's plenty of crypto bros in Wall Street too. Yeah.
I base a lot of my trading off of time changes.
Yeah.
Like it's a big deal. It's a very big deal, Walter. I agree with you. Between that 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock area, it's 11 o'clock, it came down, or excuse me, here's your 11 o'clock right here. They pushed it down to go up, to go down, liquidity sweep. You can see here as they were pushing up, there wasn't a lot of volume. And so the next portion then is the next thought process is they're not convicted to continue up. So this would have been a fake breakout. That's why I always look at that volume. Like I look at, are we having higher highs, higher lows? Where are the moving averages, and what are the wicks saying? And then the next thing I look at is momentum continuing. Right? You can see here the momentum continuing was to the downside because of the actual volume. Then in addition to that, you can see here that for myself, we were breaking on the smaller time frames, moving averages. And so I do that little thing throughout all my time frames to see which direction we're really pushing, and which way it wants to go. Now, obviously here, they did a liquidity pull. I want to convince me that it's going to continue up. So I'm not going to get in until I start to see a trending moving average that I use on an 8 or a 15. At that moment, once I start to see it really starting to trend on it and bouncing off of it, that's when I look to go. But I'm not looking, this is why we always talk about, right, on the liquidity pulls, I just don't jump in trying to catch a falling knife. I want to see it get above, show some momentum as we're pushing forward. So it's really important to be looking at that. Now on the back end, you can see here, as we are basing here, I want to sit there and see what is it going to happen over the at 12 or 1 o'clock is what I'm looking for. This 1 o'clock area here is one of the things that will communicate to you, is it going to continue up or is it going to continue down? So I'm going to be waiting to see what that hour candle fully looks like. I mean, they might spike it hard here in the next 5 minutes to give us a really good show, and then to continue it down, or they may just keep it where it's at here, and then we'll see. But ultimately right now, I think it's got to come down to this level around here, around that 200 period moving average, at 15,000 area here is really kind of like when I'm checking out between 15,356 to 15,500. They'll put in that 4-hour candle wick. Excuse me. That 4-hour candle wick as they come down, and then you can see here how they're testing that 8 period moving average sitting right here. So they're just trying to clear people out. My biggest concern is this, is that we're seeing kind of like just that kind of drop off here. And
that's
so there's,
I always miss that.
Well, you need to put it in your trade plan, and so put it in one of those things that you look for. So you can just put it in there every time frame, look at
check volume.
Average, check volume. Are we seeing a decreasing or an increasing? That's correlated with the trend, And then as I look at that, I then see it very clear. It's one of my, out of my 5 things that I look at, that's one of the ones that I look at. And I basically have it give me a case. I go through each time frame and go, okay, My, my 4 hours says this, my 2 hours says that, and I go through my 5 things for each one, for each time frame. And then from there, I sit there and I go, okay, great. It's, it's either, and that's how I build my case, is that's one of the ways that I let myself know. Now, granted, I have literally 6 time frames that I go through, or 7 time frames that I go through, right? And each one of those time frames have a bunch of metrics that but they're on the same one that's on the 8 hour or the 4 hour is the same one that's on the 5 minute. The only thing that changes on the 5 minute is I'm looking to see, are we trending hard? Is there a moving average I can see it literally bouncing off of? Right? Like, boom, look, boom, we saw it come down, we're bouncing off of the 8. What's up? Did you guys lose me again?
No, you're there.
Okay.
Hello.
That's in a nutshell. Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, I see Carmen in the house there. What's up, Carmen? Let's bring on Carmen here real quick. I actually need to step away just for a moment. I'll come back in about 10 minutes and come and join the conversation.
Well, before we bring on Carmen, hold on a sec. All right, Pedro, go ahead and do what you need to do. We'll come back after the top of the hour. I'm going to go into ad mode for a second here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you see me sip this. Come on. Hold on. Gotta launch this. I hate when it does this. All right, there we go. See me holding this coffee cup this whole show. I like to sip out of it, kind of like Dave Letterman. Usually there's nothing good in it. Just some cold tea right now. Occasionally some decent coffee. But if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's scarce, just like Bitcoin. You're getting 3 things. You're getting the bold, dark roast that hits hard. You're getting the smooth, medium roast. And you're getting the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. Nope. It's all single origin, small batch, and toxin free. And also it's mold free. Plus you're also getting, this is my favorite part, a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. Nope. You're also getting a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. They've edited that. That used to say political opinions. Now it just says opinions. But anyway, you're also getting a black 1775 tumbler. So $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is worth it. So go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. So QR code right here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this live or on the replay, click this. Let our segment sponsors know that our audience is interactive and is interested in at least learning about their project or product. So click and go there, visit them, see if they can sell you and close the deal. But anyway, also in your comment section, there'll be a little blurb that says "Learn more about 1775 coffee," and also in the body of this description, if you're watching on the replay. Thank you to 1775 Coffee for sponsoring this segment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to business here. Before we bring on Carmen, over at my shoulder here, I have a Bloomberg Business running here. I listen to that a lot in the morning. And they had a lady on whose name escapes me, talking about the jobs report. And I wrote this down to talk about the top of the segment here. But Pedro is off. Usually he likes to talk about it. So I'll bring it up later. But Pedro and I talk about the jobs report a lot. And Pedro was talking about how wrong it was 2 years ago before the media ever even picked it up. And And as you know, even now the president kind of figured it out, like, hey, this has been wrong for a long time. And they fired the lady who ran the Bureau of Labor Statistics and all that. But interestingly enough, a new person's being appointed, and Bloomberg's top economist just came on and said, well, the August numbers are going to be unreliable too. Or the numbers released in August, or in September about August, are going to be unreliable as well. So we're in for another couple of, at least 6 to 8 more weeks of up and down, dealing with the non-farm payroll report week, which is always a big problem in trading. Anyway, let's go find our guest of the day here. Let's see how I can do this cleanly. Let's do this one. Oops. Hold on. I don't have this right. Let's see. Where's Carmen's? Carmen? There's Carmen. I have her placeholder on instead of her. And there is Miss Carmen Crypto. Let me get her in the thing. Welcome, Carmen. Welcome to the show here. Welcome back to DYOR Live. It's been a while since you've been on the show. It's been a while since you were a regular on the show and all that. But I see you have upped your game in your studio microphone and setup here.
Yeah, we got to take it back to the days where it looked like I was being held hostage in a basement. with not a green screen of space, but just a picture of space behind you.
That
was a fun night, I think, in a VC, trolling and also shopping on Amazon. So we've upgraded ourselves here at the Carmen Crypto studio.
And now I see you finally got a handle on your audio as well. You seem to have got over the top with that and conquered it.
Hey, I'll take that as a good compliment because I was really, brave coming into today without like a pre-show check with you like we normally do. And I'll probably say too that now it looks like I wasn't going to come on unless there was no hair competition with Pedro, because I am for the first time seeing. I was like, is it just his earbud? I mean, the headset, or it's gone. It's gone.
Pedro did get a haircut yesterday. Well, he got it 2 days ago, and it debuted it live on this show yesterday. 12 years he hadn't cut his hair. 12 years.
I don't even think it should be called a haircut. That's something bigger than a haircut.
It's called a life-changing moment.
A transformation.
Life-changing moment. Freedom Gold. Oh, that's your comment. Freedom Gold. Anyway, Chuck says, talking about those good old days. Yes. Well, there was good old days, and then there was not so nice parts of those good old days. But Carmen, there's a lot going on now in the crypto world. Pedro and I talk about various things, political, pretty much every day. We talk about things in the day trading markets pretty much every day. But you know where we don't talk a lot about things is the kind of the nexus of the business world behind the scenes of what's going on in development, in getting more companies to participate in the world of business and crypto and stuff. But that's kind of the end that you're in. I know you play in the political part as well, and education part with the stand your, or not stand your ground, but the education part of it. But what's happening in the world of Carmen Crypto in the business development world, and especially on-chain foundation?
Yeah, so I think we're finding a lot of things differently this time around. I mean, even when you and I go back to 2021, we saw a lot of decentralization. We couldn't use credit cards to purchase things, and we've really overcome a lot of humps, even though the bear market felt rough, right?
Right.
But as we walk into 2021, there's definitely some disruption with institutions entering the space. I mean, obviously. But what it's requiring at like the startup level is like a a strategic stack of interoperable smart contracts and a myriad of Web3 solutions, and definitely a lot more strategic partnerships that have to happen in order for real utility to occur. And from the regulation side, with the Clarity Act, the FIT Act, and the Genius Act, we are like positively looking at these acts as a step in the right direction. But anybody who degens out in this space understands that we're really just touching the surface. It's really a layer of like the government catching up to us, right? But a really great time for everybody to kind of perk their ears and say, okay, what does this mean for things like renounced contracts, for things like oracles, for, like all the diversified niches that exist within the ecosystem. So yeah, very different from like an ICO, IDO, IEO, now
Right.
It's like an everything burger.
Well, before when you'd approach companies for partnerships in whatever type of utility, you've done some from partnering with companies for bringing blockchains to the government, or bringing partnerships in the legal world into AI and stuff like that. There previously was always hesitation because of potential regulation, potential just pissing off Elizabeth Warren and friends and stuff like that. It's an all new world now. And in your daily life of going about, like I said, Pedro and I, we talk the political end of it a lot, and in the business of crypto exchanges and stuff like that. But how have you seen companies change in the past, really couple of weeks, but couple of months, when you talk to them about crypto world?
Compliance is going to be top of mind. I think we're past the regulation conversation. There's better optics. In the different verticals, Web3 is going to focus on compliance 100%. And so we're also seeing brand extensions happen within consultation companies and agencies. Even some of the big guys, Boston Global, they now niched out to blockchain. And then you see the Web3 native consultancies as well. On the Web2 side, we actually did some surveys through the On-Chain Foundation as we, kind of promote our research as a service product. And we surveyed like 8 different niches within the Web2 vertical. And really interesting outcome was that the optics of crypto, the curiosity into wanting to understand what could this mean for their business if they adopted it, is ranked really high. We're getting like over 70% positive feedback on that. But when we take it further and ask them, would you like, a service that gives you in real time data, actionable insights on whether or not now is the time to adopt this as a competitive advantage or as part of your innovation transformation plan, we're still in the 30% range. They're unsure. So, in the panel that I did with our local congressman, he asked that question to the audience because it was an audience of Web3 natives and a mixture of AI. Those are like our sisters that show up at these events. And the question was, how do you go down to the citizen level, the business owner within, your own town, your own city, your own state? And how do we get them involved with the conversation on what regulation should look like? Or how do we even get them to be more curious and take action into their curiosity on what this technology could mean for their business? And what it came down to is that we're not doing a great job of translating the actual utility. And I think that this has always been kind of a shadow sentiment in every single niche in blockchain, whether you're in tokens or NFTs. It's like, what's the utility? And now, in this run, we're really highlighting RWAs, right? So it needs to actually drill down a little bit further. And I actually told the audience, I said, your onboarding experience is opening up a wallet. And here's the thing, in order for constituents to come and vote on issues that matter to our industry, they don't need a wallet yet. But today they don't need a wallet, right? So we need to take a look at a business, and what matters to a business owner and decision maker is what that experience is to their clients, their customers, and what the interaction and engagement looks like from their frontline of the business. And so if we start to look at the pain points, such as, a really easy example is a customer who has a broken cable box does not want to sit on a phone with a support at the cable company talking to 3 different levels of tech, trying to explain to them what the problem is and being the technician to troubleshoot at home, right? So is there a way that customer digital identity and ledger customer support systems and automated systems from the actual device to the company can help elevate this experience, right? Because we're definitely going down a Karen trail, and you know that that's my guilty pleasure. And I think that we need to start translating this technology into actual solutions that get people really like, okay, why would it's an easy yes when you start to outline what it can do.
Right.
Well, just the idea of Swift and removing them out of the picture, and then them just simply saving on a compound level 2% is a huge benefit just for the underlying pocket for the business. So just streamlining them onto the blockchain and allowing them to be able to go through and like save money. I would assume that is going to be as soon as possible, get them on that, and all of a sudden you add more money to the business, especially in times like this that things are starting to get a little hairy, Yeah,
that's another, aside from going big, staying scrappy, and reducing either internal costs or costs that get put down onto the customer, right? At the customer level. There's also fraudulent activity that this technology can address too, right? And authenticating coupons and rewards and warranties and having all of that, within creating an easier experience for the client. If you call for your car warranty, where's that document? How many times do people move? So yes, and I think that there's going to be a race, because right now, if you take a look at the companies that actually, facilitate transactions through POS systems and the actual devices that live in a store, right? They're going to have to figure out how do they still, run a business? Are they future proofing their strategy and their offer and their product in order to make sure that they're not circumvented by just having some kind of peer-to-peer or business to customer, system, which is totally available to us at this time. We're like real time now.
And I think just the settlement side of it is going to, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we could bring to the market is at large, of just simply saying, yeah, immediately you're able to receive that money without having to wait 2-3 day business days. Or if you're on a Friday or a Thursday, you've got to wait till Monday, right? Transfer of cash back and forth from a loan standpoint. Or to me, I look at that aspect and yes, like a DNFT, right, is like super important to authenticate subscriptions and or warranties that you would need. But I think personally, like when it comes down to brass tacks, all people really care about in business is money. Am I making money? Am I losing money? Or is my money stagnant and I can't jump to that point? And everybody knows if you own a business, if you have stagnant money, you're losing money. So I think just that jump right there, bringing that into the business sector and saying, look, crypto is amazing because you yourself can create some form of coin for yourself. You could even hold that coin for your actual industry or for your individual business, and people can take part in that. And if that streamlines right to the client that you're interacting with, saying, yeah, not only can you just get rewards, but you can actually turn this into real money within my area if you work, or if you shop, or if you buy within my business's network, or if you can even have business networks. So I think that in itself is what I think one of the most important things that you could tell a governor, saying, hey, look, right now, the U.S. government comes in and just takes a large portion. This is why we're seeing large corporate entities create their own stable coins, because it actually saves them money. And when I mean money, yes, through Swift, but also more importantly, it's not, your money's not stagnant, because right now we're all fighting what? Inflation. So it's just one of those things that bringing that to the client, saying, get on the blockchain, start to use this and understand the value of it. I mean,
100%. I mean, money is definitely going to be the biggest topic. And I think that any business that's taking a look at the news cycle right now, before getting down to the granular and understanding maybe a business intelligence tool that they can incorporate into their business that solves frontline problems, what they're hearing first is tokenized treasuries, right? What the numbers are saying is that tokenized treasuries year over year are on the rise. So there's a lot of interest there. But beyond that, private loans is also growing as well. So again, we understand the assignment. We know what these things can look like on a day-to-day. We know that builders in this space are building those solutions. But are they getting their time to shine? No. And that's where the gap is. And that's where people have the best opportunity to facilitate that adoption by bringing these to the surface. And it can't only be with the big names, right? Just because it's a Visa, just because it's an IBM, you know, like we have to really get down and granular and say, okay, what does the mid-sized company have to benefit from taking a look and actually paying attention to this? And on that point, I think you've talked about it quite a lot. There's a lot of noise, right? And even some of the entities that are supposed to be aggregating data or giving us the reports and things like that to give us actionable insights for decision makers, they can be sponsored content, right? They can be paid for. And so we've got to clean up those spaces. Good
side note,
right?
Then you're actually talking about regulatory reports that come out towards unemployment, everything that you mean primarily opening that up and saying, look, have businesses jump on instead of waiting. It's a simple process of, we fired X amount of people. And if it's on the blockchain, it's immediately accessible. So all of a sudden, everybody can see it in real life time versus having to wait on a monthly basis. Is this am I catching that correctly? Is that what you're leaning for?
No, I think I sparked a really big idea on your side. Okay, I'm talking about players within the Web3 space, because, you know, we actually did the research at the On-Chain Foundation and did tons of interviews with some of the biggest leaders and decision makers in the space, and also did some Web2 polling and surveys. And what we have found is that oftentimes the information that we digest, whether it's on the Web3 news sites or the research sites, or you have, you know, a seat for a dashboard to get briefs and ecosystem protocol overviews and whatnot, some of that information comes to you too late. And I mean, we're really unleashing a whole new layer to the internet. So there's so many industry niches that need to have this information drilled down to what's in it for them. And at the breakneck speed at which we develop new technology, in which new interoperability options become available to us, or even as big companies fail, and, you know, now that community, those stakeholders need to find a new place, a new solution. All of that happens so fast that right now, clean, objective information, or even having a Web3 native team that can do the research for you, has become, you know, a necessity. And that's where the On-Chain Foundation has found a lot of success. But it was definitely really eye-opening to hear that, you know, now we're looking at more dashboards. Like more teams are really adopting that Doom mindset of having aggregated data that's customized to their needs for the decisions that they need to make on a day-to-day basis. And these were not really things that all companies used, but now it's becoming a standard that a company needs in order to remain competitive, or to continue to innovate from phase 1 to phase 2 of their business plan.
To me, I'm more excited about the innovation that correlates there, especially with just the idea that immediate data change, right? Like all of a sudden you're able to look and say, oh wait, and just to even tie that to a spreadsheet that's very clear. I can see that being and in a very tangible way where I jump on my own personal web interface and I can sit there and say, all right, what does my panel say regarding sales coming in and coming out immediately? And especially with the POS systems immediately tied into the blockchain, you could literally within, a day or two can see a trend actually happening. And if it's a good trend, capitalize on it. If it's a bad trend, you immediately respond to it and not get bogged down. Now you're a month or two out. And you're like, man, if I had known this a month prior, I could have either saved my business or at least saved a lot of income regarding a loss of information that currently right now you were still stuck in. So that's what you're bringing to the market.
Well, the On-Chain Foundation brings, customized research, either briefs, ZK roll-ups, it could be a competitive analysis. And the way that we work in the Web3 vertical is going to be highly technical, right? Because they need very specific information. And most times that's the strength of anything that's on-chain, is that the information is there. It's a matter of aggregating it down into insights. On the Web 2 side, it's almost like you're holding hands and still doing the DYOR, and the education and the cycle is a little longer because these decision makers are trying to decide whether or not they're going to make a significant move to either adopt this and transform in their business. I will say this, like from our recent stablecoin report, we did find, and I'm going to read out some percentages, 48% of businesses in emerging markets have already adopted or piloted stablecoin solutions, while an additional 40% are actively exploring adoption. So when the news is talking about these big topics, it's really driving the numbers of interest, right? So if we start talking and highlighting some wins in terms of the actual business utility of like programs and systems and consumer apps that are on chain, I think we would see a more favorable increase in adoption there. We're just not there yet, right? We also see 90% of institutions already using or testing stablecoins. 86% of firms report that their infrastructure ready for stablecoin adoption. So, when we're walking into 2025 with really great optics, right? And we're starting to see the needle move quite quickly, considering that we're only in August. So if we sustain this, then my expectation is going to be that we're going to be really primed and ready to start welcoming in, the mid-sized companies that are saying, okay, that's all great, tokenized treasuries, stable coins, regulations working, but what can I do today in my business that's going to matter?
So
those are some interesting statistics about how many companies are toying with the idea of stablecoins, or may not be advanced to the point where they're thinking about using it. They're at least having the discussions in the boardroom or at the executive level. All right, if these things are coming down the road, because they're getting that info from MasterCard and Visa too. I've seen, I shouldn't say I've seen, Pedro and I have talked about Visa and MasterCard developing on-chain solutions, that type of stuff, developing methods to take stable coins and all that. But they're going to want their 3% still. They're going to want their extra cut if you use your rewards card or rewards stable coin or something like that. I think there's going to be very, very many more as you get the word out about what companies can do on chain. And Pedro and I have talked about this at length, and we'll do it again here, is that I don't think that politicians, companies, and most people understand what's coming down the line once crypto and stablecoins become fully integrated in payment systems, and how much the dollar and the dollar will get stronger because the world's going to rely on U.S. stablecoins or U.S. dollar-based stablecoins. But how much it's going to take over of commerce? It's going to be fantastic. I mean, instead of paying with your Visa card, you'll just pay with a QR code. Boop. Just switch right there. Micro cents is their fee instead of 3%. I mean, it makes all the difference in the world here.
I agree with that. And I think that there's also a gap in terms of understanding some of the biggest tenets and features and benefits of adopting the technology, or even having clear regulation when it comes to these. Because Visa and MasterCard coming into the mix and being able to kind of elevate the experience of transacting, right? On a global scale, maybe quicker, easier. Where does the conversation about ownership come into, right? Where does the conversation about, custodial wallets, non-custodial wallets, and really, holding your assets offline? These things are not necessarily going to get infiltrated into the marketing. It's a conversation that's like, yeah, that's great. We on the blockchain side, we're excited that big names are coming in and playing and adopting and making the news. But I think for us, we have some kind of idea on what the impact should be. So if somebody is using a Visa and MasterCard, where is the belief system of sovereignty and ownership and, owning your own money and assets? This has to kind of, I'm excited to see whether or not that's going to happen, because I think that that's a fear when you're on one side versus the other.
Tom, so
Mic
basically,
go ahead, Pedro. Sorry.
when it comes down to the movement of what you're doing with within the organization, you're just simply trying to bring people on and say these are the benefits that we can bring you when you come on to on-chain, or when you come on-chain and you're able to move.
Oh, let me help you understand the on-chain foundation a little bit more. Think of it as a research team, and a research team first. So there are many options for anybody who's curious about this technology to come into. Oftentimes they skip the research and education part and they go straight in front of a developer team, right? There's some big teams out there working with the biggest companies saying, yeah, we can totally do that for you. Yes, here's a statement of work. Let's go. And it's going to take a lot of education to even pick the right team. So oftentimes these deals are done through referrals and recommendations or what's in the news, and they go to that. But I think the responsible route, especially for mid-tier companies that don't have a lot of resources, that need to make an impact sooner than later, aren't on 18-month to 2-year cycles of rolling out new things. They need to have that team who's going to be objective and can actually dissect their business and take a look at the Web3 space, look at their particular niche, create a sector map, create recommendations, create best practices on what you should be thinking about as a team, what things to watch out for, address any concerns about, what's safe and what's not safe, and give more options than, sitting in front of somebody who's now a part of the sales team selling you, a developing service. Not to say that none of that process ever works, because it's going to happen regardless. But we think that the better onboarding experiences for businesses to adopt it is to actually get an understanding. And if any one business that wasn't already, working with crypto, personally trading crypto, or have somebody on the team, in a tech position that has this competency to know these things, well, then they need a Web3 native team. And to do that and hire internally, it also provides a problem, right? If you take a look at companies like Bondex, who specialize in using a blockchain system to recruit and hire for Web 2, but also have a Web 3 layer and arm to find Web 3 talent, the most difficult thing is probably what you, me, and Tom experience. We've been in blockchain for years, and most of the companies that we've worked with, or advised no longer exist, or the failure was so bad you don't even want it touching your resume, right? But in an innovative
lot of blank
space,
spots.
Yeah, but in an innovative space, like, that failure is actually gold to the resume, right? It's that told you what absolutely not to do. And that's really hard to find. So if you think about a Web 2 company that's looking to even hire somebody on the Web 3 side, who are you going to find? And how are you going to really authenticate their experience and their competencies. It can be difficult. So we also have a responsibility to clean up the ways that we interact, right? And how we facilitate that adoption.
I see.
Well,
that.
I got to tell you, there's always good news coming out of Carmen with things going on and a little different spin on things, the way that Pedro and I are looking at things. But where there's good news is from Fire Chicken. Fire Chicken donating the big bucks here to help out the algorithm. One more time to massage the algorithm. Excellent show today, gentlemen and ladies. Always good to see Carmen. With that $5 donation, showing the algorithm here on Rumble that people love us. They really love us. But anyway, thank you, Chuck. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Makes a big difference all the time. Crypto Mike in the house. Let's just do a quick "Oh Canada" for him. Oh, Canada. No, they would be like this. Make Benny Hill.
Okay. I don't know.
Actually, Mike will probably correct us on that. But anyway, let's take a quick break here. Carmen, we'll come back to you in just a moment. I got to pay the bills for a second here, and take care of some segment sponsors here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. It's that time. We were talking about gaming earlier. We've talked about gaming chairs. We've talked about joining new games that pay cash. But are you going to be any good at your game if you don't have a good controller? Are you ready to level up your game? AIM Controllers is where custom meets unbeatable value. And right now, it's the best deal of the year. We start with official Sony and Xbox controllers, fully compatible with console and PC. No functionality lost. Then you go wild with custom features, smart bumpers, paddles, grips, stick height, custom buttons, even design your own PS5 snap panels. But here's the part no one is doing. Lifetime warranty on all modified parts. Who else does that? I'll wait. Exactly. Normally, a fully loaded setup would run you $400, but during our one price promo, it's just $209 US or 182 euros, no matter how many features you add. Use code RUMBLE at checkout to lock it in. This is your sign. Go to aimcontrollers.com and build the last controller you'll ever need. As usual, QR code right here. Click that. If you're watching on your TV, hold your phone up, click it. Go visit our advertisers. Let them know that we're an interactive audience, so more good things come for Pedro and I. Also, in your comment section, there'll be a little link that says Learn More. And if you're watching this on the replay, in the description here on the platform you're watching it on, there'll be a link to aimcontrollers.com. So thank you to aimcontrollers.com for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live.
And back to our...
Pedro, before we go right back to our guest, can we get a quick update on what's going on with Bitcoin here? We got a little bit of a recovery going on here.
Basically, they sold it off here. You can see here, I thought they were going to actually drop it. You can see right at these couple levels here that we saw the drop here that correlated with a sell-off. So I'm a little hesitant right now because we just saw a bunch of sell pressure come in, yet we're pushing up. So we're not really trending anywhere right now. Per se, they did do liquidity sweep here, but I'm more apt to sit there and say that they're going to bring it down than go up, simply because when I look at the 5-minute, these two little guys right here with a ton of volume is more or less indicating that it looks like it wants to drop here. So for myself, I would say stay out until it's really clear. You know, right now it's not that clear. I want to wait. I want to sit there and see a market really pick a direction and then go from there. Right now we saw it drop, pull back, and we're kind of playing around in this zone area that I just drew up here. So I'm just kind of waiting and seeing which direction it wants to go. So yeah, sorry guys, can't give you any definitive area what direction it wants to go. I think it wants to go down. Literally just because I see the volume coming in stronger for the sell side versus the buy side or the ask
Yeah,
side.
good point.
So that's why I'm waiting to see for it to make up its direction. And then I see that, and it's clear. You can see, it went up. We saw big volume. We're above the moving averages. We've got a distance to run. So right here is a good idea. And that's what I'm kind of waiting to see. Are we pushing up? Now you could play around right here. I just don't know how far. And I'm using this as an example for this. I don't know how far it's going to come down. You see the push up right here? This area here is one of those areas that was kind of a picture. It looks similar to what we were looking at before. Well, how far is it going to come down? I don't know. So this is where you saw the push up, come back down, and then right here you start to see it show some strength and then push up. So that's what I'm waiting to see. I stay out of the market. Right now we just hit a liquidity area right here, but again, it's not clear. I'm more apt to sit there and say that it's going to go down based off the volume. But even then, I want to see trending market starting to go down with the moving average telling me it wants to move down. As an example, like this, right? It was kind of playing around, sold off. You saw it here. Then it starts to trend down. So I know, they want to drop it. Okay. And you can see that they were communicating it over here and right here that they wanted to drop it for the day here. So that's kind of like what I'm waiting to see here.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting. Watch the rest of the day play out. See how Asia opens tonight and what Friday may bring us.
Yeah. So that I'm just basically saying I'm more apt to short right now than I am to go long.
All right. Let's watch it and see what's happening. Let's get back to Carmen Crypto. We've talked business, Carmen. We've talked business here. We talked about the nexus of stable coins and how companies are taking it, talking about the research that goes on at On-Chain Foundation and how if you're a member of their foundation, you can get to that research quickly. And how companies are started, but people don't do the research. They just kind of start their company based on an idea and they're an engineer and they've got it. They don't really know what the market's about, things like that. All these things are serious topics that need to go about. But Carmen, you and I have spent a lot of time on the more fun side of things. You still, even though you're a busy businesswoman, getting the job done here, doing business. What fun things are you coming across in crypto now in the digital asset world? You live in Las Vegas. There's a lot of trade shows in there. You go to these shows, you go to conventions. When you walk through the floors or in your daily comings and goings about crypto, what are some of the more fun things that you're seeing that at least entertain you or B, get your attention because there might be a money-making opportunity there?
Yeah, I can definitely say, I haven't been on crypto Twitter almost now for like 2 months. My account got hacked. Surprise. But, definitely events. So this week I am walking into the Rare Evo event. I'll probably high five our friend Caitlin Long. She's one of the top speakers there.
I noticed.
Shout out to her from DYOR. So, I've set up a lot of meetings, but, outside, I feel like I've gotten off of Discord and Telegram a bit. So it's difficult for anybody here reaching me there unless you're Tom. But I have found myself, quite in like the last year, helping a lot of people that have been referred to me in terms of strategy and education. So this past weekend, I did an in-person, this founder came to my house. We really hunkered down and did 48 hours of ideation on, an AI system that she's building and how Ledger technology can integrate with what she's doing in order to get her that competitive advantage. I'm doing it too with a local emergency doctor who was a CMO for one of the companies that I work for. Ideate through, okay, he has an idea of crowdsourcing IP. How can we get blockchain integrated there? I'm also still working on a Las Vegas casino, so yes, there's always business happenings. I guess I can say like Dr. Chuck out there in the ether sphere keeps me degen centric. With some of his chats, that's where I find the fun. And so Yeah, I definitely need to pivot and do more VCs. I think I need to go back to what we were doing in 2021 and the Q4 time, where we come out and just kind of unload everything that we know and that we've experienced in hopes that somebody else can receive that and learn from it and do better than we did.
I think that's really an interesting thing. I mean, just sitting down there, I mean, doing a 48-hour grind of just
And because of our experience in blockchain, we know that, okay, just because somebody says they can do it doesn't mean they're the right business to do it.
Right.
Because sometimes innovation here is in the hands of somebody who doesn't have the business, competency. So, there's this whole layer of authentication, due diligence, and verifying, beyond just the promise and the product, whether or not the company is a right fit. But we are getting better tools, right? Like, and even tools that big traders and TradFi use to check the company's, seed rounds, see who's invested into them, see their annual reports. Like, there's so many companies that aggregate this data for TradFi traders and businesses to validate that they're starting to look at our niche, right? And so the information is becoming more available versus like, okay, I'm just sitting with you and I got to go find you a developer team and, we can just work on it from scratch. That's not necessarily the case anymore. So a lot of my conversations have pivoted to, okay, let me do a sector map. Let's see what that niche looks like. Let's see who the big players are. Let's see what, success case studies that they've had. And let's decide whether or not we're integrating with their systems, licensing it out versus, building it from scratch. And oftentimes, if you're outside the Web3 sector, like, for example, this AI founder, I go, yes, blockchain is going to be fun and interesting. And sometimes I'm blowing their mind, right? That they come into our mindset of like, whoa, what does this mean? But in the end, I have to tell them, you're still an AI company, right? Like, I can't help you write your white paper and feel like it's a 50-50 effort. You're an AI company. Blockchain will be something on the side. And in most cases, I don't recommend that you market it as blockchain because you're an AI company. This is something that's going to get you your funding because these systems can build trust. These systems can build automation. These systems can help your bottom line and protect from fraud and malicious entities, or even for privacy reasons, right? So these are big tenets that are really fun, but, we on this side know that anything AI needs to kind of have blockchain. So if you understand that assignment earlier than later,
right,
you can compete fairly well. In fact, we did a study in one of our reports, and we found that for most Web3 native users, they want AI.
Can I ask you? My question is the business acumen that they need, right, to actually see that is, I mean, that's such a forward-thinking thing. Are they really looking to do things in that nature, or is this? I mean, because I think that's one of the things I'm just wondering: is it too early? Is it the right time And are a lot of these business leaders, I mean, do you sit there and if you're working with the founder and go, you know, you really don't have that business acumen to really springboard this to where it needs to be? Do you also have that conversation in relationship to also moving forward with accruing? You know, I'm just wondering, like, do you?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both, because sometimes when I come in as a strategist, I also have to act in the capacity of an advisor, right? So I had a recent conversation, and, you know, without divulging too much, the bottom line was somebody had the mindset of like, I want everyone to use this. And I go, yeah, that's a hope and a wish and a great place to start, but you can't formulate your strategy on having every single human being using this and that being like your sole tenant, because it's impossible, right?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the freedom of choice, just like the freedom of gold spoons. The freedom of so sometimes, you know, we are taking somebody who's really just in that idealistic mindset of perfect world and drilling it down to, okay, yes, that's here, but what can we do today? Like, what does that UI look like? Let's get really granular on that first product iteration. And I think that I also find a lot of founders that forget that you can change your mind and they can get caught up, like that business acumen on that topic, right? They get caught up on like, on this, you know, like I watched a founder go through like almost 2 months of reiterating an NDA and a contract with the lawyer group. And I go, okay, you're thinking about all these terms and conditions when you're at, you know, when you've got $10 million in a seed round, right? We're not even close to that, right? We're pre-white paper. So you need to formulate these documents to serve our needs today. And when the circumstances and environment change of your business, we go back and we amend those, right? We create appendices or we terminate that and create a new one. But yeah, sometimes just people are in the innovation space. It's just go, 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 go. And again, now we're in a space where compliance matters, where IP matters, and protecting that IP is important. Yes. So you can't go out there and shout your idea just to see if people like it. It's also a little difficult sometimes to even find key roles like a CTO, because we're really living in a day and age where your IP license and registration doesn't come for 1 or 2 years, maybe even longer, depending upon the process. So what do you do in the meantime to not fall behind, right? And that's where DeFi doesn't have those rails, because we can just open it up on an idea, and tonight we got an NFT community launched.
And that's the part that's so beautiful.
So many variables, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think too, when you're talking to a business owner about blockchain, first and foremost, you have to overcome the optics of somebody thinking that it's magic internet money and that cryptocurrency is what it is. And also to the regulation sphere of just what's the topic. Are you only, should I only talk to you if I'm thinking about tokenizing my treasury? Absolutely not. No, we still need to have that coffee. I'm going to blow your mind, right?
Yeah, I actually love just when I start talking about DNFTs or just NFTs and the variety that I think is going to be coming down the road, right? Like we definitely saw the innovation of NFTs with DNFTs, and now they're talking about being able to almost take them almost off chain and on chain, and I sit there, meaning like your phone, right? Like that NFT where you're able to say, hey, yeah, you're not connected to the internet, but you're like, check this out. And if you need to change something or do something, you bring it right back on, and it's, you know, you still have that non-fungible thought or the security part. So I think it's, I actually am really excited about potentially what we're going to see into the future, especially with companies like you're working with the On-Chain Foundation and what we're seeing come out of that. It's going to be one of those moments that we will look back in history and we'll sit there and go, do you remember when somebody bought Bitcoin with pizza?
That is still a conversation. That is
still a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, anyway, we're getting near the end of the show here, but I put a question out there for people to, if you had any questions for Carmen. Crypto Unicorns comes back and asks, hey, Carmen, do you see money flowing into new deals at looks like at a huge rate, or is it big in AI and small elsewhere? What's your experience in watching where's the money flowing?
And let me see. Do you see money flowing in like to new deals?
Into digital asset deals? Is it looks like they're asking, is the money mostly chasing AI or other areas popular as well?
No, I think AI and cryptocurrency and blockchain technology are actually merging quite well. I mean,
Right.
I think we are going to be waiting for quantum to show up to the party. But yeah, I was saying earlier, we did a study, and when it comes down to those that use Web3 consumer apps, they strongly feel at a really high percentage that it needs to have AI integrated into it. Because again, the strength that we have is that the data is there, the data can be trusted, but who's going to aggregate it for us, right? And which models are we using to aggregate that data, and how can we limit the inference leading to hallucinations and such, right? So as these two technologies start to mature, I think that their relationship to work together is going to be greater. I think that we are also experiencing a better opportunity that when a company is adopting AI, that we can kind of ride those coattails and come in on the other conversation and acknowledge that, and say that if you're adopting AI because it's the competitive thing to do, it's in the news, right? It's newsworthy, then you're going to want to differentiate yourself from all the other companies that are doing exactly what you're doing right now. Because we can both agree that it's happening everywhere. So how are you going to set yourself apart? Well, it's making sure that we build trust, because if AI has an issue, it's trust. And the same happens on the crypto side. So how can the two work together to actually combat the similar and shared pain point?
And almost springboard off of that, when you see and you're interacting with a lot of these businesses that you're really trying to do, almost integrate them with AI, where's the money really going into? Like, what type of businesses? Like, are they going to mom and pop shops that deal with car insurance, right? Are we talking about, like, what are you seeing really the niche that you're seeing the money going into in this? Like,
it's going to be software as a service type, companies, right? It's going to be your consultancy agencies that have their own clientele. It is going to be tech driven. I mean, we're not at the place yet where I can go into a mom and pop cookie store and convince them that a cookie NFT is correct, and proper, and that it's the time. On the other sense, I can tell you guys a funny story. I was in Seattle with a group of friends, and I was at a lake day. So I spent probably about 10 hours with this group of people, and about
Chuck,
6
thanks for
women
joining
in the
us
group
today, and
were
thank you for being so
talking
generous.
for a significant
Good luck at
amount
the
of
Fiat
time,
Mines.
if not majority of the time, about those Labubu dolls. And I go, wow.
What's that? Wait, I'm sorry. What?
These are like the new Beanie Babies of Gen Z's era.
Labubu?
They're little tiny, stuffed animal monsters that come out of Asia. I'm not going to say, I don't know which country, but they're so popular right now and collectible. They're like a mystery open, right? That even women who have Birkins are putting it on their purses. So they're from the retailer called Pop Mart. They're literally viral right now. You guys just probably don't have a female in your bubble that knows this.
I actually predominantly am around men, in all honesty. Yeah.
I heard these women who are like my age, have resources, kind of like just go on and on. So I realized how viral these things are. And we recently had a Pop Mart open like 7 minutes away from my home. And this happened within the last month, and people camped out for days, and they're constantly out of stock. So I go, blockchain, when I'm talking to companies, we're talking about pretty intricate systems. And I just made a comment about how a strategic stack of blockchain solutions is what's expected right now, even from the retail space. They don't want to see a one contract project. But a big company that has a viral collectible that people are foaming at the mouth for, the most simplest iteration of an NFT, creating a raffle process that they don't even know it's an NFT. It's just for the business. They know who participated. And the biggest thing about this is that Labubus have Lafufus. Lafufus are the fake Labubus. So you open up your mystery box and the ankle is broken. The ear is going the opposite way. The eyes aren't right, you know? This is that use case where someone like me can reach out and be like, have you ever considered this? Because this is, from your company's standpoint, really cheap to do. You have the market attention for it.
Right.
We have the rails so that they don't even have to know it's an NFT. We create a UI and a DApp. And now these people, you create 6 golden Labubus up for a raffle. You go to this website, you pay $5 a ticket. Could you imagine? By the way, I've already connected with the head of licensing on LinkedIn for PopMart. These are examples where even the simplest of simplest ways that our technology works can work in big ways. But my conversations, the research that we do is really for either very complex Web3 companies that need to make a decision this week, or they're going to have a longer sales cycle in which I'm helping a Web2 company think about what they're going to do next year, right, in their business.
That's interesting.
Just the fact that people who buy $25,000 pocketbooks, as Pedro would say, to fall for a little craze like that to further decorate their purse is.
Did you look it up though?
I'm not.
Look up what a Labubu. It's BUBU. You have to see this thing.
I don't want my computer to become infected.
You were today's years old.
When I found out about the boo-boo.
Anyway, that's always so interesting. Learning about the small cultural things that Pedro, you and I are missing out on, right?
I think it's important. I mean, listen, I missed out on the game that people were doing with the Pokemon. I'm still mad. I had a little. One of my foster brothers would literally go crazy over this, and I sat there and I was like, dude, these are only these little. They're cardboard. I don't even understand this, right? Like, and you're like, and he's like, they're like baseball cards, but they're better. You get to play these games, and I was like, all right, whatever. I'm mad at myself because at that time
I've never seen anybody play a Pokemon game. I don't even know what it looks like. I know Pokemon cards. It's totally in my algorithm because I have collectibles, kind of in my view. But
they play these games like Magic the Gathering type of thing. Right? Like they would play these and then I guess they would flip them, like do these things. And I remember he was in grade school. I mean, maybe 6th grade at the time. And he was just saying to me, and I remember I was like, I think it was 17. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. Right. And that's when also Magic the Gathering was coming out. And I didn't even understand Magic the Gathering. I was like, I mean, you play these games, you sit around, and where's the fun? I mean, are you hitting each? I mean, I was football. I did swimming, so I never look past anything now. Like, I'm gonna go out and buy one, literally, because who knows? In 20 years, that thing might be worth the equivalent of 20,000, 30,000 today. You don't know, but it's worth saying, hey, you know what? I'm gonna pick this up and then put it on a shelf and let it sit for 20, because you just don't know, right?
Well, they had their Pokemon era. You were living in your BTC and crypto era.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think between the two, they might be a bit more jealous about what hobby you took on.
Right. Yeah. Yes. But the biggest thing is this: is never look past anything. And I don't, even though majority of my friends, I have guy friends or whatever, right? And we just go out and just be stupid, right? No girlfriend. I'm just like, we're good over there. Not yet. It's nuts for me. But I'm now thinking, am I like missing out if we don't bring females in? Are we missing on opportunities to make money? Like, it's like in the back of my head, I'm now going like, man, how have I not learned about this? So. anyways.
Yeah, you always got to check yourself or wreck yourself on the FOMO agenda.
yourself.
Like,
Well-
you know, am I FOMOing? Do I not FOMO? Do I not?
Listen, I still have the original. There's this guy. They had the first real like canned drink. It was absolutely horrible for you, but it was the first, and I got the NFT for it, whatever, right? And it was like I bought it, cool. I don't know, but it's a first. It's a first of that thing. So who knows? In 20 years, that thing might pop up, and I might see, me OpenSea, obviously, but some else, pops up, and I look at that, and I'm like, this thing is worth $1 million. Like,
Dude,
like
I'm gonna meet you. I'm gonna meet you at 30 years from now, post retirement. We're all gonna go to an Antiques Roadshow together and bust out our early NFTs.
Dude, come on, man.
And then we're gonna challenge each other.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro and I are going to bid farewell to Carmen Crypto here and wrap up the show. Carmen, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. It's always good to have you on and catch up with you. Might be calling upon your hosting abilities to fill in for me on some upcoming absences. So I hope you're able to do that. And now that you have this new awesome special studio, well, I think you're in line for a professional job here. But anyway, Carmen, as I always say, thanks for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right, Pedro. Let's see if that worked. Did that work? That worked. Pedro, thanks a lot for a good show today. Thanks for going over BTC and kind of showing me where I should have got out a little bit earlier on my trade. I wrote that down for my trade plan to make sure, double check the volume, make sure I do that. And the funny thing is, if I had to stop it, so it stopped me out obviously. But if I didn't, the market's already come back. Would have been all right. But can't take that risk. Anyway, we've had a good week so far, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back here at same time tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. You're listening to Tree City West, all gassed up here with the outro music. As always, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to have hosted another great episode of this show with my co-host, Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, and Pedro Damas de jour here. We had a great time, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Potion got me open. I can feel the bad omen. Lost in this moment.